Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive straight into a deeply painful financial trap that, honestly, you very likely experienced at some point. It's a trap driven by an invisible force buried deep within your own mind, and it is quietly sabotaging your portfolio. Have you ever stared at a red arrow on your brokerage account, just watching your investment bleed out, yet found yourself completely paralyzed, like utterly unable to just click sell? Well, you're absolutely not alone, and the psychological reason why this happens is fascinating. Imagine waking up, grabbing your phone, opening your investment app, and staring at this staggering number, negative $8,200. Now, this isn't a hypothetical. This is the exact amount a man named David has lost in a single solitary stock. It's this bleeding portfolio that he agonizes over every single morning with his cup of coffee. He watches it, he stresses over it, but he doesn't do a single thing about it.
So, Part 1, David's expensive mistake and the anatomy of a crash. Let's dive into this specific case study and look at the actual numbers behind David's daily nightmare to figure out exactly how a totally normal, rational person ends up trapped like this.
The math here is incredibly straightforward, but man, is it devastating. David bought 100 shares of this company when they were flying high at $100 each. He genuinely believed in the business model, you know? He put his hard-earned money on the line. But today, those exact same shares are sitting at a dismal $18. The investment has just completely cratered, and he's left holding the bag. Now ask yourself, what would a professional actually say to David? Well, the answer is unanimous. Literally every financial advisor on the planet would tell him the exact same thing. Sell. Sell it right now. Take the loss on the chin and move that remaining $1,800 somewhere that actually has a chance to grow. It's just standard, undeniable financial wisdom.
So we know what the smart money says to do, but this brings us to part 2. The illusion of loss and the emotional hurdle. David completely refuses to sell. And here's the real kicker. It's not because he still believes in the company's future. He knows full well the company is failing. He refuses to sell because his brain simply won't let him.
The cognitive dissonance happening here is just intense. For David, clicking that sell button feels like he is making the loss real. As long as he holds the stock, his brain is kind of tricking him into thinking it's just numbers on a screen. But selling feels like admitting total defeat. It feels like he's actively throwing away $8,200 and admitting he was completely wrong. Holding on to it gives him this twisted comfort that he's somehow, someday, going to recover his money.
But here is the stark, uncomfortable reality. The money is already gone. This is the fundamental truth that David simply cannot process because of a powerful mental block. Whether he finally clicks sell today, tomorrow, or never, that $8,200 vanished into thin air the exact moment the stock crashed. He isn't actually holding on to his money anymore. He's just holding on to a memory of it. He's making decisions based on old, outdated, emotional information. Welcome to Part 3, the Sunk Cost Fallacy, an expensive bug in the brain. Let's look at the fascinating behavioral science behind this psychological glitch.
This behavioral phenomenon is formally known as the sunk cost fallacy. It happens when people refuse to abandon a failing course of action, not because it makes any logical sense to keep going, but simply because stopping feels like a massive, unbearable waste of what they've already put in. They anchor themselves so deeply to the past investment, completely blinding themselves to the present reality. It's this fundamental miscalculation where our brains prioritize past pain over future potential.
And we aren't just making this up, by the way. Renowned economists Richard Thaler and Daniel Kahneman dedicated extensive research to studying this exact psychological glitch. They proved that human beings will persistently pour more resources into doomed investments just to avoid the psychological pain of waste. It's not a logical strategy, it's a defense mechanism. As they've highlighted, it truly is one of the most expensive bugs in the human brain.
Which naturally brings us to Part 4, the casino effect and weaponizing the bug. Because this glitch, it doesn't just accidentally cost you money in the stock market. Entire industries actively weaponize this exact psychological flaw against you to systematically maximize their own profits.
Think about the casino industry for a second. They understand the sunk cost fallacy perfectly. Have you ever wondered why when you walk up to a blackjack table, they immediately make you trade your hard-earned cash for colorful little plastic chips? They do it because they want to trigger this exact detachment in your brain.
When you push a stack of plastic chips across a felt table, it doesn't really feel like you're handing over next month's mortgage payment, right? Because the chips create a deep psychological detachment. It simply doesn't feel like real money. This completely bypasses your brain's natural defenses, making it incredibly easy for you to just keep throwing more and more chips at a losing table, frantically chasing what you've already lost, trapped entirely by the sunk cost fallacy.
So, bringing this back to your own portfolio and David's absolute nightmare, it's time for part 5, making a new choice by facing the reality of the market. We need to completely strip away the emotion to figure out how to break this cycle once and for all.
Here are the harsh market realities. David's stock is not going back to $100 just because he feels he deserves it to. The stock market is a cold machine. It doesn't care about his feelings, his stress, or his morning coffee routine. The most terrifying truth is that every single day David refuses to sell, he isn't just passively waiting. Actually, scratch that. It's worse. He is actively making a brand new, conscious daily choice to keep his money in a loser. He is actively choosing to lose more.
And this perfectly illustrates your ultimate choice. The massive majority of that initial investment, that $8,200, is lost and gone forever. You cannot change the past, but you still have the power, right now, to rescue that remaining sliver of $1,800. It's entirely actionable. You can save it and reinvest it into something with an actual future. The choice is yours. Which brings us to a final, pretty provocative thought. If this explainer changed how you view your investments and it helped you spot this expensive bug in your own brain, make sure you subscribe. Because this mental trap doesn't just stop at your wallet. No way. Join us next week as we explore how this exact same psychology forces you to sit at a restaurant and finish a meal you already hate, and we'll uncover just how much that stubbornness is really costing you in everyday life. See you then!